Hello my crafty friends, it's Andrea from Prairie Sky Paper Crafts. Today I'm going to show you how you can make 4 cards or more if you want to cut it smaller really quickly and fairly easily. I've got my Stampin' Scrub here because I've got 4 colors of ink that I'm going to be working with. So I've already sprayed the wet side with my Stampin' Scrub spray. And I do this little sticker on here. I don't know if you can see. I do the yellow one on the side that needs to stay dry. There's a wet side and a dry side. That way I don't get them mixed up. And you can pop these out to run them through some warm water just to get any of the ink out and then let them dry really well before you put them back. I'm just going to put this off to the side. I've got a stamp block. I'm using the E-block for this one, which is pretty much my go-to for just about every single project. I've also got my Watercolour Shapes stamp set. I didn't think I wanted this one, but then I saw something and had an idea, and then I decided I needed it. So this arrived just yesterday, and I'm also going to be using Create with Friends, which has not left my craft desk since I got it. Okay. I've got some very vanilla cardstock. I'm going to show it a little bit of love today because I've been using a lot of white and I kind of really love the very vanilla, kind of that creamy, soft color. And the colors that I'm going to be using are Coastal Cabana, Granny Apple Green, Bermuda Bay, and Balmy Blue. Now these are colors that I don't generally put together, but they were on my desk and I decided to pull them out and see what they look like. I also have Pacific Point close at hand. I may use it. I haven't decided yet. Okay, so for this one, I want to keep it kind of linear. So I'm going to be using the rectangle shapes. So there's this large rectangle, kind of the medium size one, and then this long narrow one. So I'm going to peel off the back and just put it off to the side so that I can put it back into my stamp set later. And I'm going to start with the large one. Now, because this is the first time that I'm using it, I'm going to stamp it a few times in Versamark so that any color that I do put on here is less likely to stain the stamp. Now, if the stamps are stained, it's fine. That'll still stamp perfectly well. But doing a couple of layers of Versamark just kind of gives it that little bit of extra protection and make sure that you can just keep using your stamp forever and ever and ever. Let's see. I'm going to start with Balmy Blue, I think. Okay, so I'm just going to get it all over my hands. Okay, so I'm just going to stamp. And I'm just going to do it in a random pattern, kind of off the edge. And you can see it just gives it kind of this splotchy look. It's watercolor. It's not meant to be perfect. And I'm just going to do it in a few spots. Whoops. All around my page. There's not going to be any rhyme or reason to this. Basically, I kind of want to get one of each color in each quadrant. That's kind of my go-to. And I'm just going to scrub it on my Stampin' Scrub. And you can see how quickly and easily that came clean. Now I'm going to do, I think, the Bermuda Bay next. And again, just wherever feels like it needs to be. So I think I'll do that one there. And I'll put one. And because this is going to get cut up, it's not really going to matter how precise you are with it. Okay, now I think that'll be good enough for my big one. photopolymer stamps, when they come fresh out of the package, are super, super sticky. Okay, now I'm going to do the next size. And then Versamark this one as well. And then all I'm going to do is either rub it over the Stampin' Scrub, or I'm going to go and run it under some water and the ink will run right off of it. Super quick, super easy. Okay, now I'm going to do Granny Apple Green in a few spots. There. I love making my own backgrounds because you can build and add and put it basically wherever your heart desires. Okay, that's good. Granny Apple Green for that one. And then I think I'm going to bring in, I think I'm going to do some more of the Balmy Blue. Now, I really love this stamp set. I wasn't sure that I was going to love the splotchy look of it, but I really do think that this is going to make a fairly regular appearance in my craft room, because I've already got a few ideas floating around in my brain for it. So watch for that. Okay, and I'm going to do one over here and maybe here. Okay, and then Coastal Cabana will be the next one, and I think I am going to bring in the Pacific Point as well, and we're just going to do the long skinny rectangle next, and I may also use the smallest square just to kind of fill it in. I don't know if you're on my Facebook page earlier today, I posted that my feline assistant was in the window. She's moved, and I keep looking over my shoulder, fully expecting her to come back shortly. Okay, and that'll be good for that one. And then I'm just going to bring in, I've decided I'm going to use the square, and I'm going to do that one in Pacific Point. And if you wanted to, you can absolutely overlap the colors. I'm just kind of keeping a bit of a space around each of them, mostly. Because I do want a little bit of white space. Will that fit there? Yeah, that'll fit there. I'll stick this one here. I have not planned this out at all, but I'm really loving how it's turning out. Do you plan your cards, or do you just go for it when you stamp? Sometimes I plan, but not always. Okay, I think I'm content with how that looks at the moment. I'm just going to take off the blue and give my block a little bit of a wipe because I got some blue ink on it and I don't want to have blue fingerprints everywhere. Okay, so now we're going to cut. So I'm going to cut this down to 4 1/4 by 5 1/2. So when I do that, I line up my trimmer and I make sure that it's right to the very line. So for 4 1/4, and then I line it up top and bottom as well. And then I take my cutting blades to the bottom of the page and give it a push and just make sure that it hasn't shifted at all and push it up to the top. And then I'm going to turn it and then line it up to the 5.5 mark. Exactly the same, line it right up to the line just so that it's covering. Bring my blade down, snap my blade guide in place and push it up. Now, I think I'm going to trim down a little bit for this one because I don't really love all of that space. So I'm going to line it up to the 4, trim it, and then I'm going to trim it at 5.25 as well. So there we go. There's one trimmed. Actually, I think I'm going to trim both of them. So 5.25 and 4. I was making some grad cards this morning, so I've got basic black and basic gray that I think I'm going to use as my mats on here. So I'm going to trim this because I've just decided that they're all going to be matted onto the black or the gray. I'm going to trim that, and then this one I'm going to trim at 5.25. I've just had a few different ideas pop into my head for this as well. And then I just flipped it, and I'm going to trim this part bottom to top. I'm going to be using these stamps in the next little bit. I think I'm going to do maybe a series of 2 or 3 different videos with them and a few different techniques, because I can see watercolor paper and using the pastel chalks and all kinds of fun stuff. Okay, so I've got a piece of basic gray here. Let's see, do one basic gray. I'll do one with navy. Oops, not that piece, it's bent. And then a couple with, oops, basic black. Oh, and Bailey's making a guest appearance. 2 basic black. I always keep that cardstock that I've scored in old stamp cases, and everything goes in there. There's pieces that have been punched out. There's little bits and scraps. I just find it a really easy and quick way to keep track of everything. Okay, so now we're just going to put our card fronts onto our matte layer, sorry. Oh, excuse me. Okay, there's number 1. And this really is a super fun way of creating so many different cards. If you're doing invitations for something, or you need a bunch of cards really quickly, this is perfection. And then, of course, depending on, excuse me, how you decide you want to decorate your cards, each one will have a completely different look as well. Okay, I don't really need you supervising at the moment. Thank you. Pets and kids, there's absolutely no predictability. All right. So there we go. There's our 4 cards done. And I think for this one, I haven't used Create yet. So I'm going to do Create. Let's see. Create. I I think just create by itself will be fine. And then I'm just going to bring in my Memento Black, and we're going to stamp each of them. And we can stamp them in different spots to make sure that each one has its own unique look. So this one I'm going to stamp in the blue. This one, I think I'm going to do across the center of these two. This nice big empty spot is just begging for something to be stamped in it. And finally, let's see, I think down below. Ooh, or up top. Up top, maybe. Okay, now let's see what we've got for embellishments. You know what? Black matte dots. They kind of dress everything up. Oops. Not quite. There we go. Before I put the embellishments on, I kind of try to line it up before I push it down. They can be moved, but I try really hard not to move them once I've placed them on my card. Okay, this one, I'll do it. And then one in the center. So let me know what you think of this stamp set. And as I said, I will be playing with it a little bit more later as well. And don't forget to hit subscribe so you're notified every single time a brand new video goes live. So there we go. 4 completely different cards using the same stamped piece of cardstock. Different colors, different color combinations. The possibilities with this are absolutely endless. Thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to pop over to my Facebook page for even more inspiration. And if you're watching from Canada, I will be hosting a Christmas in July coming up. And I'll pop the link down below so you can subscribe to my newsletter if you'd like some more information for that. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope you have a fabulous day.